Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon, Madam Hooch.
Good afternoon, Amanda. Good afternoon. Welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are you waiting for? Everyone step up to the left side of their broomstick. Come on now, hurry up. Stick your right hand over the broom and say up. With feeling.
Shut up, Harry.
Now, once you've got hold of your broom, I want you to mount it. And grip it tight. You don't want to be sliding off the end. When I blow my whistle, I want each of you to kick off from the ground hard. Keep your broom steady. Hover for a moment. Then lean forward slightly and touch back down. On my whistle, 3, 2... Mr. Longbottom. Mr. Longbottom! Come back down this instant! Mr. Longbottom! Everyone out of the way! Come on, get
Oh dear, it's a broken wrist. Poor boy, come on now, up you go.
Everyone's to keep their feet firmly on the ground while I take Mr. Longbottom to the hospital wing. Understand? If I see a single broom in the air, the one riding it will find themselves out of Hogwarts before they can say Quidditch.
Did you see his face? Maybe if the fat lump had given this a squeeze, he'd remember to fall on his fat ass. Give it here, Malfoy. No. I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to find. How about on the roof? What's the matter, Potter? Bit beyond your reach.
Harry, no way. You heard what Madam Hooch said. Besides, you don't even know how to fly. What an idiot.
Give it here, Malfoy, or I'll knock you off your broom. Is that so? Have it your way, then.
Harry Potter?
Follow me.
We're going to be talking about Harry Potter and the differences between American English and British English. First of all, she says, good afternoon class, like with an ah, rather than good afternoon class with an ah. And that's pretty normal in British English. They use the ah for almost everything. Make sure that you know that if you want to learn British English, they only use the ah. And I think that this is kind of easier because I'm not sure if the ah is a very easy thing for foreign people to start to speak. The second thing is that they say madam, and it's mostly a vocabulary thing, and it's not that it's uncommon in America, mostly if it's like a very formal sort of like school, but for the most part we say miss for a person who's not married, or Mrs. for a woman who is married, but most of the time it's just Ms. Next, the R in British English is not as strong as it is in American. So they say hard, hover. And I think that this is also a bit easier for some foreign people to master because the R is a bit hard for even American, English speakers, because I think they start to learn it at like 9 is when they start to perfect that sound. Next, they say long bottom, like long bottom with a T instead of a D, where I would say long bottom as like an American with a D, long bottom, instead of long bottom with the T. I also think that Harry and Hermione and all of them speak a different different accent of English than the teacher, because her accent is a bit different in the way she says things. I don't know how to describe it. I think it's more like a Yorkshire accent, but I'm not sure. Another thing that sometimes they might do, especially if they're from like London or certain areas around there, they will take off the H, so they say odd or odd, over, things like that. Next, hospital wing. She says hospital wing. She's gonna take Dudley to the hospital wing. And this, it doesn't sound weird in American English, like you might hear people say this, but we would probably say infirmary or nurse's office or medical wing. It's not that weird, but I just noticed that maybe that's something that they would probably say more often than we would say it. They also say hospital, like I'm going to hospital, instead of where I would say I'm going to the hospital, like I'm going to the hospital rather than hospital in general. And neither is wrong, but I just think that that's something that British people say rather than American people. I think had given this a squeeze, when Malfoy says that, I think that's very British. Like that sounds just like, I feel like I would have said that differently as an American. Like if he had squeezed this, like rather than given this a squeeze, it sounds a bit weird to say. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's really true, but I feel like this is a very British statement. They also say, this is not said in this clip, but they say was sat, like I was sat on a bench rather than I was sitting on a bench. So this is probably this is an example of the way they switch some of the verbs around and say it differently. And then Potter. Again, I say Potter, like with the D, instead of Potter, which is what they say. So they say Potter, I say Potter. So, I say so with the U at the end, so, but they say so or so. This is more Yorkshire accent. They say so with an O and not an O, but they're like, the more RP, which is received pronunciation, is so. So do you think that you can help me out with that? So what are you doing? And then the Harry Potter is Harry Potter. But at the end of the clip, Miss McGonagall, I think is her name, she uses the R, like ere. So she says Harry Potter, like that's I think she's Scottish, and so that's different from a British, or English I should be saying, instead of British, because Britain has different accents. But there's English accent and a Scottish accent, Irish, and then some other ones depending on how far you go into the country. So Harry Potter is very typical of Scottish people, because they would say with an R, like how are you, like with a R instead of a R or an A. But that's just a bit of some of the things I've noticed. I've noticed that in American English, we leave more room for emphasis. So I feel like British people sort of have a rhythm to their speech. Like we often describe it as a sing-songy kind of voice or like intonation. So I think that that's one of the main differences, is that English in America is more, we say things with more of an intent rather than just letting it go word by word, if that makes sense. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Like it's very different. Oh, that was terrible. We're not gonna do that. Cut that out. In conclusion, British English is not that hard. It's not that different from American English. The only difference is that we in America tend to change the way we talk and the way we say words to say more information, to provide emphasis to something. And that's not to say that you can't do the same thing in British English, but that's to say that to us it seems more proper, less casual is what I would say. And it's not that hard to understand people from the British Isles or anywhere over there. I think the hardest accent to understand at times would probably be the Scottish accent, and I think that's mostly just because of the foreign vocabulary in that dialect of English, because they speak a different language sometimes in Scotland. I think it's called Gaelic, so that has a lot of influence about how they speak there. And yeah, that's it. Subscribe, like. If you have any questions or comments about my terrible English received pronunciation accent, then please give me criticism.